Welcome to the Software Generation Training Snippet Series. My name is Steve Morin. I'll be hosting the session today. I'd also like to thank the Sage Pro people, Product Manager Jennifer Schwartz and Technical Support Analyst Tom Bucci for their assistance in preparing this material. Today we'll be covering the What's New in Accounts Receivable and Sales Orders version 7.7. Other presentations cover other parts of what's new in the 7.7 release of Sage Pro. Okay, so we're going through the accounts receivable and order entry parts of this primarily. We're going to be covering these topics: customer alerts, customer average days to pay, the default warehouse locations, the deferred invoicing by customers, dropship item allocations, how commissions are now handled on $0 invoices and shipments, credit card compliance improvements, the recalculation of the year-to-date sales using transaction dates, and the business status report changes for accounts receivable. So let's talk about customer alerts and sticky notes. Nice improvement to Sage Pro that allows you to pop up information on the screen and see what you want to see about that customer. So let's look at a customer. Go into accounts receivable. Let's go into a customer. And I'm going to bring up ACP1. This customer does not have an alert set at this time. I'm going to edit his alerts. Click on the alert button. Notice it comes up and it allows me to enter things here. Since I'm familiar with Sage Pro, I'd like to use a date and timestamp to know when I entered this information. And since I'm familiar with the clipboard, I'm going to use the clipboarder to put in the message that this is a great customer. So I've already stored this information in the clipboard and it automatically brings it in. Left a few more spaces than I would prefer, but that's fine. And I save it. Notice I did not hit the prompt alert button, so now it's just a note. I actually want it to pop up, I also have to click this. There are some other requirements that we will go over. So now whenever I bring this customer record up, I will get a pop-up on the screen concerning that customer. There's the pop-up. He's a great customer, please be nice. It was entered by me on that date. So it's a nice tool to notify people about an issue with a customer, special handling, or perhaps credit issues with a particular customer that you want to have taken care of. Okay, so let's look at the next. Let's go back to the slideshow and cover some of the issues. The alerts are by customer. They will always prompt, providing you have this permission set, ARALDT, LG. If you do not have that permission, you will not see the prompts. It adds the memo field and the prompt field to AR customer, and they'll automatically pop up whenever you're selecting a customer. Nice feature. Customer average days to pay. Something that people are always asking is, how slow are these people to pay? How fast are they to pay? This will record that information and give you the average days to pay. We've added it a couple of places, so it's handy for you. The actual tab on the screen is on the History tab here, and it says average days to pay right here. And you can actually click on this drill down and see fully paid invoices and the payment dates for those that have been fully paid. Partials will not age. They're not paid yet. When the fully paid date is filled in, these can then begin they can then calculate the average days to pay on those items. So you can pop them up and see how we did it, see how they're calculated. The two other places that is available is in the Open Receivables report has an option to automatically make that show up. And there's a data view available, so you can drop on your screen like the other data views, ARY masked average days. So there also is a similar text box on the national screen, so it will calculate the days for the national screen. Okay. Default warehouse by customer is a nice feature. In the prior versions, the default was either the default for the system, or if an individual had a login that was specific to his workstation and a default location for his login, it would then default to the individual's working location or login location. We've added a new feature that enables this to be done by customer, so that when you are actually shipping, you can tell it which warehouse to ship to that customer from. And that information is actually located on the Sales tab. And here I've set the default location for this particular individual to Plant 1. You can see that right here. It's set to Plant 1. And I've also done something. I've set his Ship to default location to Plant 2. So Let's go in and do an order and watch what happens with those particular selections for that particular customer. So I click on Enter Orders. Brings up a sales order, and I do ACP1. Notice my note pops up. He's a great customer. Please be nice. Okay. And notice that it defaults to Plant 2. So it will automatically pick the information up from the customer and set this to Plant 2. If I then go in and change the Ship To use the Ship To address, it will automatically pick that up and say the Ship To address has changed. Do you want to change the default plant to Plant 2? And you can say yes. So that's a way to control what gets shipped to what customer from where. Also, if you change the Ship To here to be a different customer, it will obey the rules the same way for that customer as it did for this customer. So if we have one customer buying and we're shipping to a different customer, we can do that. So handy feature, lets you control your warehouse, control your shipping costs. Oops, back one. Okay, so there's some new fields. It will honor the Ship To address rules for the customer or the Ship To, and it will do the ship for another customer. This affects invoices, sales orders, blanket orders, recurring orders, and bids. It will affect all of those. Deferred invoicing by customer. The way the system worked prior to this release is that if you had deferred invoicing turned on, it would prompt you when you shipped a sales order, either in normal shipping or quick ship, that whether or not you wanted to defer that invoice and not actually invoice that shipment immediately. On this new option, this can be controlled at the customer level. And the way we control it at the customer level is there is a field called Deferred Invoice. And if that is checked and you are set up to use deferred invoicing, then for this customer, it will automatically default and defer the invoicing for this customer. If that is not set up, obviously it's not going to. For the customers that do not have it set, you will still get the option. It'll behave like it did in the past, and it will be controlled. You can select whether or not you want to defer at the time you are shipping. Okay. Obviously, you need accounts receivable, and defer invoice at the company level must be enabled for this to work. Dropship item allocations. In prior releases, the dropship item allocations and the dropship purchase orders did not show up in the allocation on the on order. They were offsets, so they're always equal, but nevertheless, we felt it was necessary. We should put these back in to the allocation so that all allocations and all orders would in fact be reflected. And they are now reflected in the allocation and the orders. And it is reflected in the drill down using item quantities. Prior to this release, the commissions on 0 invoices and shipments were not figured in. They were never calculated. If you want them to be figured in, you can set this up to automatically include them. If this could be a situation where you have a salesman who is selling on consignment or has sold some items at 0 that add on to another order, and you want to be sure that his commission is reduced by the 0 order shipments. So we now have this. When you do invoices or shipments, to create invoices, it will automatically calculate these in if you set it up that way. It does not affect returns. Sales order returns always figured into commissions. So if you did returns that way, it would figure in anyway. But if there's 0 value returns, they do not figure in. And credit memos are not supported for this particular item to refigure the calculation. We have the recalculate year to sales by tran date now. Before this, the close year zeros all the opening balances, and then it was recalculated irrespective of the transaction date. So if you close in the middle of January, you got a figure from January till the end of the year, and you didn't get the January sales into the numbers. Now it will always calculate on date, so it recalculates and it'll figure it on date. So you can close the period anytime you want, and the year-to-date sales will accurately reflect the year-to-date sales. We've added a bunch of features to smooth out the process of credit card compliance. In addition to the PCI compliance project we went through last year, we now have PADSS compliance, which is a higher level. We've added a feature to avoid pre-auths, which is very nice because once a pre-auth is put in, it does tie up a person's credit limit and holds that money until it expires or is used. And so we do have the ability to go in and void a pre-auth now and get it off of the system and automate customer addressing to the system. Other details are available in the addendum on credit card compliance from Sage Payment Services. Year-to-date statistics are now calculated on the business status report. This is a nice feature if you guys use the business status report. It's a handy little tool. The business status report has a lot of information on it. If you look at the new statistics, you can now do year-to-date statistics here too. and you can see your amounts, your counts, your averages and stuff done for the year. You can recalculate with this button, and you can do daily averages or recalculate. So very nice features if you want to get a snapshot of your business. Also, some of the current information you can drill down on. So if you want to see all your open orders, or you want to see your payables, you can punch that button and instantly see that information. This is a handy little tool to see where your business is and what's going on with it. Okay, so there's one more little bonus tip here. One of the things that we added in this system was the ability to flip between transaction types. So right now I'm in an add invoice mode, and this button here will let me flip to a change invoice mode. It actually opens a separate window, and I'm now in change invoice mode without backing out and going where I want to go. So I can pop up an invoice, and if I have the ability to change that invoice, I can. I can punch that button again, and I can say I want to do an invoice, and it'll pop another window open. So it's a very handy little feature which allows you to flip between modes without going out of the system. And that is our brief introduction to the new features in Sage Pro 7.7, Accounts Receivable, and Sales Orders. The other series on 7.7 are there's an overview technical series, accounts payable, purchase order features, and a miscellaneous one that covers the other features in the system. Thank you very much. If you'd like more information, you can find information, including contact information, at www.softwaregeneration.com. Give us a call if we can help you out in any way. Thanks.